The Washington Capitals are rolling right now. The Blue Jackets are not. Let's talk about that on today's Locked On Blue Jackets.
You're Locked On Blue Jackets, your daily podcast on the Columbus Blue Jackets, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hello and welcome to Locked On Blue Jackets, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. Thank you for making us your first listen of the day every single day. Locked On Blue Jackets is free and available on all podcast platforms and over on YouTube. Thank you for making us the number one sports podcast network. Just a quick one. Today, we're just going to do a little preview. I don't really want to talk about last night's game. I don't think there's a lot to say that I didn't say on Twitter, but for those of you who have freed yourselves from Twitter, congratulations. The cliff notes are goaltending bad, penalty kill bad, officiating also bad, but that's not an excuse. This team just wasn't good enough last night, and they should have been. This should have been an easy win, and it wasn't. So let's move on. Let's throw that whole game in the trash and pretend it didn't happen. Let's talk about the Washington Capitals, who so far this season, I believe, have outscored the Blue Jackets 10-2. They are 2-0 in the season series. The Capitals are currently 8-1-1 in their last 10. They are 17-9-3 on the season. I don't believe they're leading the Metro, but if they're not, they're very close. Let me pull up the standings real quick. Oh, no, they are. They are currently, as of their most recent game, they are leading the Metropolitan Division. They are leading the Eastern Conference. They're not leading the league because the Colorado Avalanche are insane, but they are leading the Metro, leading the East. Just a really, really solid, another really solid season from the Capitals, which, I really thought they were going to take a step back this season. I thought that they'd sacrificed a lot of their depth and hadn't really added anything in return, but they continue to get really good goaltending. Alex Ovechkin continues to be not quite the ageless wonder, but after a slow start to the season, let's say, he's got 29 points in 29 games, 14 goals, right? Tom Wilson leading the way with 17 goals, 31 points for this team, which is kind of surprising and mostly frustrating, especially because I believe he's got 2 goals on the Blue Jackets already this season. There's a lot that is going to go the Capitals' way just because they are a better team, right? They score more goals, they allow fewer goals. Their special teams are kind of a nightmare. They're 23rd on the power play and 28th on the penalty kill. Blue Jackets currently 15th on the power play and 30th on the penalty kill after just 3 completely disastrous games where I believe they've allowed 7 power play goals over the last 3 games. It might be 8. I stopped counting after 7, and another one might have happened, quite frankly, based on how last night's game went. That's one of the keys here is you have to win the special teams matchup. They didn't last night. They went 1 for 4 on the power play, and I believe 2 for 4 or 3 for 5 on the penalty kill. By which I mean they allowed 2. I think they allowed either 2 or 4 or 3 or 5. I don't remember exactly off the top of my head, but that game didn't happen, so we're not going to think about it. But the point I'm making, it still stands, right? The penalty kill has got to be better. Straight up, that is number one key to the game. Is penalty kill has to kill any penalty. If the power play wanted to get another goal, that would be great. I'm not as worried about the power play right now. It's league average. They're on I think they've scored power play goals in 3 straight games now, 3 or 4 straight games, which is great. That's the power play is not what I'm worried about. The penalty kill is what I'm worried about. The goaltending is kind of what I'm worried about. It's going to be Jet Greaves tonight. Regardless of what happened last night, it was going to be Jet Greaves, right? But Elvis was not good. Jet Greaves has floundered a little bit. He wasn't great in his game against the Capitals earlier this season. 5 goals on, I think, 30-ish shots for Jet Greaves, but he's got a 901 save percentage. Didn't have a great game against Pittsburgh, which was the last time he played. Hasn't played in a week because Elvis had 3 starts in a row which felt kind of like a mistake at the time and feels more like a mistake now, especially when we've got this big body of evidence that says that Elvis plays better when he's rested. But that's beside the point. The last time these two teams faced with Jet in net, 5 goals on 30 shots for Jet. 2 of those goals were on that 5-minute major that Mathieu Olivier took. One of them was extremely un-Jet Greaves-like. I think it was that first one. It like bounced off his glove and went in. And he wasn't good enough. I'm not sitting here and saying, oh, it wasn't his fault, blah, blah, blah. Like, he wasn't good enough in this game. But looking at the goals, I'm like, okay, yeah, it kind of makes sense, in some circumstances, not in all of them. But they need Jet Greaves to be on his game tonight. They need the Jet Greaves that we saw at the end of last season. I don't know if he'll be rusty, if only because I don't remember the last time. If I'm being brutally honest, the last time Jet Greaves went a week or more between games might have been never, because I don't think the AHL broke. The AHL didn't take a break last year for the Four Nations. I don't think they're going to take a break for the Olympics. Like, I don't remember the last time Jet Greaves had more than a week between games that wasn't. I don't even think he's had an injury that's caused this. So I don't know what Rust is going to do to Jet Greaves, but it's going to be Greaves. It's going to be Logan Thompson as well, because I believe Charlie Lindgren is injured. That's going to be a tough goalie matchup, right? Logan Thompson is playing extremely well this season. And even more when you look at just kind of how brutal goaltending has been. Like, I was talking to a friend, and apparently the league average goaltending right now is like an 893. So for Logan Thompson to be sitting here putting up a 919 save percentage is pretty impressive. I'm just looking through his numbers, and 4 games. In how many games has he played? He's played 20 games this season. 4 of them he's played the full game or near enough, 59-23 or whatever. And then it looks like he got pulled against Tampa Bay for allowing 4 goals on 6 shots. But other than that one game, of the 19 other games, and only 4 games this season does he have a save percentage below 900. That's pretty darn good. And that's really frustrating. Like I said, Blue Jackets are going to have to bring their A game. I don't know that their A game is going to be enough, but I need to see a better all-round effort than I've seen the past couple of games, right? Like, they are extremely, extremely lucky to have gotten 3 points out of the last 2 games that they played, right? They're not going to score at will like they did last night, and like they did against Detroit. Like, I don't think they'll score it well like they did against the Devils either. Like, they are going to have to they're going to have to learn how to win 2-1 or 3-2 games eventually. And this would be a great time to do that. Do I think it's likely? Not particularly, but like, they're not going to win. They're not going to win a barn burner. They're probably not even going to get a point out of a barn burner, because Washington is a better team. They are, like I said, they are better at scoring goals. They are better at not allowing goals. You have to win the special teams battle. I know that I've said that about 17 times this episode, but I keep going back to just how bad the penalty kill has been. Especially after it started off brutally, right? And then it went through a stretch of actually being pretty okay. And now it's just brutally bad again. And I think partially that is that the goaltending hasn't been there. And I think it's also the penalty kill. Just like, it's not working. It just is not working. I don't know whether it's the personnel. I don't know whether it's the systems. I don't know whether it's one unit is worse than the other. This is something that I want to dig into kind of this week coming up, when the Blue Jackets have a relatively light schedule and I have time to talk about something other than the game that literally just happened or is about to happen. But the penalty kill, that I keep coming back to it because that's the most important thing for me, because you look at all of these games, and if the Blue Jackets have a league average penalty kill, they probably have maybe 4 more wins, right? And maybe that, like, again, that's me pulling a number out of thin air. I haven't looked at it to say, oh, well, they lost this game on the penalty kill, they lost this game on the penalty kill, etc., right? But, like, you allow 3 penalty goals against Detroit. You allow 2 against Florida. You allow 2 against the Devils, or that might be flipped. It might be 3 against the Devils and 2 against Detroit, but I think it was 3 against Detroit. There was a minute in the Detroit game where the Blue Jackets had scored 5 goals, I think 4 goals at even strength, or 4 goals in total, and the Detroit Red Wings had only scored power play goals. They got some even strength ones at the end there, but like, again, it's just that's what I keep going back to. I don't know that I care about the 5-on-5 play. I'm not worried about the 5-on-5 play. Maybe I should be, but I'm not, because I know that as soon as this team takes a penalty, that puck's going to end up in the back of the net. It's a momentum killer. It's a score killer. It is wrecking the ability of this team to play 5-on-5, because if they're constantly in the box and they're constantly taking penalties, that's the other thing. They've taken a lot of penalties the past handful of games. As a team that is not typically penalized very much, it's kind of startling, right? But they, every time they take a penalty, you send your penalty killers out there. Your penalty killers get tired. You can't roll your normal lines. You know, Monahan penalty kills. Sillinger penalty kills. Coyle does a lot of penalty killing. Miles Wood penalty kills for reasons that I haven't quite figured out yet. Brendan Gaunce, Isaac Lundestrom. Like, no one on the top line kills penalties, which Fantilli probably should be killing penalties, because I do think that your number one center should be killing penalties. But that's another conversation that we'll have, because we don't have time to get into an episode right now. We simply don't. But you spend a lot of time in the box, and it kills all the 5-on-5 momentum and your ability to roll the lines that you want to roll, because then you have to roll a line of 3 guys who weren't just throwing themselves around on the ice for 2 minutes, trying desperately to score, to fail, trying desperately to kill a penalty that they're not going to kill. The source of a lot of this team's issues are the penalty kill. Goaltending is another issue, but we've talked a lot about goaltending. We've talked a lot about the penalty kill as well, but for me, the penalty kill has to be better. And I think if goaltending is better, the penalty kill will be better. But I think if the penalty kill is better, the goaltending will be better. It really kind of goes hand in hand for me. I'm going to real quick, just before we get into predictions, going to see if I can pull up this team's save percentage at 4-on-5. And see if I can pull. Here it is. So right now, the Blue Jackets have the 6th worst save percentage on the penalty kill. On the penalty kill, they have an .826 save percentage. That's both goalies between them. At 5-on-5, they are much improved. They have a .908 at 5-on-5. It's the penalty kill that's killing them. That's just what it is. Let's talk predictions real quick. If you're new here, welcome. If you're in every day, you know how it goes. But we're playing a game. We are going to guess the anytime Blue Jackets goal scorer. We're going to predict the final score and who wins the game. You get a point for predicting a goal scorer. You get a point for getting the final score right. If you get both of those, you get a bonus point. And if you correctly predict an overtime or a shootout game with that final score, then you get another point as well. I am doing very badly. I didn't get a point last night because Adam Fantilli did not score. Boo, hiss, etc. But I think I'm going to go. Here's the thing. This is what the score needs to be, right? This needs to be a 2-1 or a 3-2 win. I don't think it's going to be that. To win this game, you are going to have to score probably 4 goals. And you have to allow fewer than that. I mean, it sounds stupid, right? To win the game, you have to score more goals than the other people. I understand that sounds stupid, or the other team. But I think you're going to have to score at least 4 goals to have a chance of winning this game, which means this has to be, like, where I'm going with this is I think it's going to be a 4-2 game. I think it's going to be 4-2 Blue Jackets win, because, again, if you're new here, I pick the Blue Jackets regardless of whether I think they're going to win or not, because it feels bad to not pick the Blue Jackets, considering this is Locked On Blue Jackets and not Locked On whatever team the Blue Jackets are playing. In terms of goals, Marchenko's a safe bet. He came back from injury and immediately started scoring goals again, which is great news. I do think I'm going to go with... That second line has looked a lot better recently. Sillinger scored last night, obviously. Ken Johnson scored the night before. I'm going to go ahead and let's do a Monahan goal. No, you know what? I'm not going to pick someone from the second line because I've just seen Charlie Coyle's name, and I think it's time for a Charlie Coyle goal. That's my pick. It's going to be a 4-2 Blue Jackets win. We're going to get a Charlie Coyle goal, and everything's going to be fun, and everyone's going to have a great time, and no one is going to feel like their hair is being torn out by the roots. Finish. End. Final answer. Get your predictions in the YouTube comments. It's going to be a tweet going up very soon that you can put your predictions in as well. Thank you for listening to this episode. We'll be back tomorrow. We'll break down tonight's game. The good, the bad, and the ugly. You know the drill. I've been Jay Foster. You can find me on Blue Sky at JAKOBFORSTER. You can find the show at LO_Blue Jackets on Twitter and LO-Blue Jackets on Blue Sky. Thank you once again for listening. Stay tuned on social media tomorrow because we've got a fun announcement coming. I'm really excited about it, and hopefully you guys are really excited about it as well. Thank you once again, and until tomorrow, make sure you stay locked on.